Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. See, otherwise what we'll do now, if we don't get enough responses, we'll close this panel and we'll get all of you on stage. And then we can have a much larger panel discussion. Thank you, ObserveNow.
Jaspreet, we have to request the cooling man to reduce the cooling. Actually, it is enough cooling so people are not able to speak.
Yeah, or we can just close the cooling. Thank you, ObserveNow, for giving us this opportunity to be part of a very interesting panel discussion. I think the topic says it all, right? Saying how are PSUs catalysts for India's growth. And I don't think so, at least on the topic, there should be any debate, because wherever we are, if you look at our entire journey from 60s to 90s, PSUs were solely responsible for it. In fact, the government named them Navratna only because of that, right? And if you pick up some of these brand names, they are probably as big brand names across the world as some of the tech companies that we talk about. And they've been responsible for our nation's growth, whether it is being catalysts of change, catalysts of job creation, etc., right? They were responsible for fast tracking, or at least putting India on the bandwagon, right? The initial baby steps were taken by those PSUs, and now we are, leading with that wave of change. So let me start by asking you, sir, to talk about your initial comments on what do you think India should do from a PSU's perspective by 2047.
Thank you. First of all, इंडिया में जो पीएसयू सेक्टर ने अपना रोल अदा किया फ्रॉम एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन से, जो हमारी जर्नी स्टार्ट हुई ड्यूरिंग द 1950 जब पीएसयूज को सेटअप किया गया, तो उसका प्राइम ऑब्जेक्टिव था हाउ टू जनरेट द एम्प्लॉयमेंट। उस जर्नी से लेकर के आज तक देखेंगे आप, चाहे जब हम सुनते हैं कि INS विक्रांत हमारी कंट्री ने डेवलप किया, हम जब सुनते हैं कि हमारे में आज वंदे भारत ट्रेनें हमारे यहाँ बन रही हैं, जब हम मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को देखते हैं, हम कोई भी बड़े से बड़ा काम देखें, पीएसयू सेक्टर की उसमें एक अलग ही टाइप की भूमिका रही है। आज थोड़ा सा कभी कमेंट में आ जाता है कि पीएसयू सेक्टर थोड़ा सा डाउन हो गया, लेकिन मैं फिर भी कहूंगा आज भी जो कंट्री का सबसे इंटेलेक्चुअल जो रिसोर्सेज हैं वो आज भी पीएसयू सेक्टर के पास में है। तो पीएसयू सेक्टर को हमको अब, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम ये है कि उसमें कुछ कमियां जो आ गई हैं, तो जैसा सर ने कहा कि किस तरीके से अब हमें आगे सोचना है। सो हमारे जो टारगेट्स हैं 2047 के, इस टारगेट को किस तरीके से मीटअप करें, ये टारगेट को मीटअप करने के लिए हमें अब थोड़ी सी नई थिंकिंग को लाना होगा अपने अंदर में। हमें अपना इनोवेटिव आइडियाज जो मेक इन इंडिया, इस तरफ हमें सोचते जाना होगा और अपने ऊपर में एक सेल्फ कंट्रोल रखना पड़ेगा। वही पुराने इथिक्स को हमें लाना पड़ेगा, कड़ी मेहनत, अनुशासन, पक्का इरादा, दूरदृष्टि। ये जो फंडामेंटल्स हैं ये आज भी उतने ही वर्क करेंगे जितना कि हमारे पास्ट में भी करते आए हैं, लेकिन इसको एक नए ढंग से हमें सोचना होगा और इस तरफ हमें आगे ध्यान देना होगा। थैंक
यू सर, थैंक यू फॉर योर ओपनिंग कमेंट्स। आई थिंक जो आपने ये एथिक्स और जो हमारे पुराने एथिक्स की बात हो रही थी, आई थिंक इट इज़ मोर रेलिवेंट टुडे देन इट वाज प्रॉब्ली 20 years ago with whatever is happening around the world. And सर आपने इनोवेशन वर्ड यूज़ किया। आई थिंक स्टिल देर इज़ लॉट ऑफ स्पेकुलेशन स्पेशली इन मीडिया सेइंग PSUs don't innovate, whereas we all know the Vande Bharats of this world that are coming out, India being a manufacturing hub, even as big as companies like Apple have now set up full-fledged plants in India to manufacture phones. So I think probably that's another area where we can talk once we come back to you. Sir, your opening comments. Doman Yadav, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
So actually, if you see the role of PSU and private sector are both are very important.
थोड़ा पास.
So role of both of public sector as well as PSU are very important. It is not that only PSUs are doing very good and private sector is not there. We are collaborating in so many areas, and whatever innovation we do, there also the role of others. And but if you see the total what target government has given 2047 for the 𝐏𝐒𝐔 Bharat, so we as Power Grid contributing a lot in that development, and we also have plans that how we'll contribute to the development of the nation. And if you see what I have experience of around 30 years in Power Grid, so we have seen a lot of changes in development. And also if you see when I joined, and at the same time government liberalized regarding the invitation of private sectors in so many areas, and that really changed the public sector also, because being for competitive and deliver, so people also become very competitive like public. We are also like working like public, basically private sectors. Only for the name we can say that we are a public sector. Some places even better than them, and because of so many policies and all those things we have to follow. So basically it's a good thing, and we are really happy that we part of this journey in contributing ourselves for the development of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Doman sir. Great point on decentralization, right, where faster decision making, and I think all of those are really catalysts that will help, whether it's a private sector or a public sector, in moving ahead. Prashant sir, your initial comments, please.
As my predecessors have spoken, that immense responsibility has been dealt with PSUs as of now. Around 25% of the contribution in GDP is coming through our PSUs. And immense employment has been generated, which is the need of the hour. Because we have seen in the past, the social fabric get disturbed if we are not able to engage our youth in meaningful employment. So that is, I think, need of the hour, that we should build enough opportunities for them, and government is doing excellent support with startup hub in the form of a startup hub, support to startups. So because naturally neither PSUs nor government can generate matching employment in numbers. So we have to build entrepreneur who can generate employment in smaller units. So miniature PSUs or miniature government supported enterprise have to be built. And the bigger PSUs which are into existence, I think it is high time that we shall introspect, we shall do the self-awareness exercise, what we have been, what is the future for 2047, and how we will lead to that. And doing these two things, we have to be careful about empathy and motivation. Motivation of existing workforce and empathy towards their and public's demand. Because until unless we are not going to change the life situation or life conditions for our, because we are a developing country, so we have to think for them also. So PSUs and technology is available in the form of artificial intelligence. We can use this tool, though there are certain speculations that it is going to reduce the job. But every time when we entered the engineering college 35 years back or 40 years back, the same thing was there. Computer is going to reduce the employment opportunity. It didn't happen. Rather, it happened reverse. It introduced the employment opportunity. Same AI can be used by our PSUs and all the sectors for employment generation and for the better and optimized executions. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. I'll probably pick up 2-3 points as a summary. One was a very interesting thing I heard for the first time is government-backed entrepreneurship. Smaller entrepreneurs, or a mini PSU could be a very interesting concept leading us to the next wave of growth, especially with sound practices that the PSUs bring in. And second, you mentioned that early 90s when computers came in, people thought all my jobs will go, right? Or Y2K came in, people said all jobs will go. To them, I also give a second example, which is early 2000s, all planes now run on autopilots, right? 99% of your flight except takeoff and little bit of landing, everything is on autopilot. But still, it's not that the planes don't have pilots, right? So we would need to reskill from an AI perspective and re-energize the entire AI thing, whether it is digital transformation, cyber security, operational excellence, and then take it forward. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Manish, your initial thoughts on this topic, and as probably one of the Navratnas, your organization has taken a goal which is 30 years more aggressive than the country has taken on the entire ESG net neutrality, right? I think 2046 or 2047 is what your organization has said. So how are you driving change from that perspective?
Thank you so much. I think you're right, Ki. I represent Indian Oil, and this is one of the largest energy sector companies today. We contribute about 9% of the total energy which is being consumed today. To the extent of 𝐏𝐒𝐔 𝐒𝐻 of 2047, we have, as a company and as part of PSU fraternity, set 4 very definite goals for us. One, which you just stated about, aligning our mission of 𝐏𝐒𝐔, cutting down our scope 1, scope 2 emissions to operational net zero by 2046. Second one is to also become 1 trillion economy. As 1 trillion, our net worth to go to that level. Today, if I look at my contribution to the India's economy, GDP, in the same fashion, if we grow as India is supposed to grow by 2047, my role and our aspiration is to grow till 1 trillion. Today, we are 94th in 500 Fortune company. Our aim is to become in the top 20 of the world's. And have these 4 missions have defined what we are trying to do in the public sector to reach those goals. And when I reach 1 trillion out of the 7 trillion or 10 trillion India reaches, I am expected to contribute about 12% of the energy needs. Okay, so we are moving ahead, and we have formulated plans around all these 5 goals, which entails consolidating my current infrastructure to meet my country's demand, which remains till 2040 dependent on the fossil fuels as well. So we are adding capacities to our current refineries of 10, which we are operating, by another 20 millions to meet those demands. We are adding to the pipeline infrastructure to see that the product pipelines are created for faster growth. More and more things are through pipelines rather than by rail or road to cut down on the safety part of the story. We have introduced and in a very big way moved ahead in the digital transformation journey to introduce digitalization for operational excellence, supply chain optimization, product movement, so that my product at the gate of the refinery is at the cheapest level, so that I become more competitive, more productive, and I can export as well. We are adding complexities to the refineries so that I create more petrochemicals and specialty chemicals when the refinery changes course in 2040. Next part is the transition in energy which is happening. We are looking at e-mobility, adding things to that, and in that direction, our steps towards adding the renewable sources to our fraternity in the form of solar, wind, power, tying up with NTPC to create a renewable energy. New companies are being created with the private sector companies like Finergy, 𝐏𝐒𝐔 in various sectors, whether product or technology or the new energy. In solar side, in wind side, we have partnered with the private sector firms to create new entities which will be running the show in the near futures. We are acquiring more companies through M&A for E&P for securing our assets in future. And for the green side, we are also heading to hydrogen, which is a new age energy. India has declared that we want natural gas to be 15% of the energy basket today. We are at 7%. This 8% has to be brought into the country. So for that, infrastructure in the form of LNG terminals, LNG stations, and all the alternate fuels which are required to, abate whatever we are using today are the areas we are trying to invest into. At the same time, more than 1 lakh crore of investments is also being planned to take care of the GHG emissions which are currently, and for which a lot of things are added in the form of energy management systems, in the form of optimization which are being created through the digital platforms which we are creating, and then monetizing the same for the other people as well. So these are the areas I feel, apart from, doing my regular business, looking at the trading as one of the another factors, opening a digital trading desk for energy. If I look at the top 20 countries, companies of the world, many of them are traders in the energy sector. We are not in those fields today. But we have an aspiration to come on those fields so that my factor to reach that volume and the top line and the bottom line of mine can only be reached if I enter new avenues. And in that sector, in the digitalization side, we have looked at it creating larger data centers and making them available for others as new areas of business. Apart from the regular business, unless PSUs also enter the other areas of businesses, we will not be able to contribute to that level of economy which India is aspiring to be. So these are some of the things which I highlighted where we have made a very definite plans to move ahead for the next 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Manish sir. And I think, like you said, you have plans to become a $1 trillion company by market cap. I think all of us would probably agree that we are standing at a very interesting cusp of growth from a country perspective also, right? If the country grows in the right direction, fueled by the PSUs, I think it's a win-win for everybody. And who would have thought, sitting in a PSU conference, we would be talking about supply chain optimization or talking about energy trading platforms, right? It all seems like a wish list. But thanks for bringing that out. Right. Prashant, your initial comments, please.
Good morning. In fact, I belong to a leading green energy company, that is NHPC. And as we have seen, the PSUs were created to make India self-reliant and to cater for good economic growth and employment. Now, even today, they are doing this job. Reason being, once our Honorable Prime Minister talks about the 𝐏𝐒𝐔 Bharat, whatever the policy guidelines and frameworks have been decided by the government, it's the PSU who are taking the lead in this direction. And they align their business accordingly. So, similar way, our company has also roped in aggressive targets of becoming a 50,000 megawatt company by 2047. So right now we are operating 26 projects with the 7,000 megawatt capacity, having solar and hydro, and we are constructing another more than 10,000 megawatt plants which are under construction. Around 15 plants are there. Then we are working upon, we are that around more than 20,000 megawatt solar and hydro are in the pipeline. Further, we are working on the pumped storage. Now, I would like to stress upon the need, what our friend from REC just told, the scenario about the power. As we see, the more and more solar is growing, the grid stability is becoming a very big issue. Earlier, we used to talk about a hydro-thermal mix of 40 and 60, that is 60% thermal and 40% hydro. Now, what is the scene that we must have seen? Now, thermal is less than 50%, and solar has increased, wind has increased. Now, the solar, as you see, larger part was solar, and how much time this is available? Very less time, 6 hours or 7 hours maximum. And what about the remaining part in the peaking season? So this entire thing is to be contributed by the hydro resources, and the contribution of hydro has become less than 12% if we talk, combine both mini hydro as well as the proper hydro plants. So now focus is more on the hydro sector. That's why the government last year, 14 hydropower stations which were given to the private earlier, because we are talking about the combination of PSU and private, they were again handed over to the government sector companies like NHPC, SJVN, etc., so that their fast-track development can be done. Because Arunachal Pradesh is the state where we have largest share of hydro. And to bring the grid stability, we need to have more and more hydros. So another way that we can do is that make pump storage plants. So NHPC already started working for pump storage schemes in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Tripura and Andhra Pradesh. So that way, the role of public sector is very much important, because we can go for solar, private can help, but making hydro where it is much money is required and gestation period is high. So in those areas, the role of public sector becomes very, very important. And we as an organization are playing this role efficiently, and supported by our digital missions, digital transformations also going on.
Right.
So that's all.
Thank you. You know, you learn something every day. I did not know about this, about Arunachal Pradesh and the power of hydro that we are all sitting at, right? It's like, it's out there. We just have to find out means on how do we capitalize on this. And thank you for showing the way it can be done. Mr. Jain, your opening comments, please.
Good morning. So first of all, I would like to say the role of public sector cannot be undermined, neither in the past nor in the future.
Great.
Let me just begin with the post-independence era, when India started its own journey after colonial Raj. So the need of the hour was socio-economic development, to invest in the infrastructure sector, to create job, and to discharge social responsibility towards the society. So at that time, PSUs came forward and showed their might and gave a platform to the India to reach at the next stage. They were in strategic sectors, they were in citizen-centric sectors, utility, and all basic needs which the people want. Then came the era of 1991, a post-liberalization era, where there was some tilt towards privatization, and government also started involving private sector in various economic activities and gave them the free hand also. So let me give you some statistics also, that in 1951 there were only 5 central public sector enterprises, and in 2022-23 the latest data which is available on Department of Public Enterprises website, that there are 400 central public sector enterprises, out of which 250 are operational, and the amount of revenue generation in 22-23 of all these CPSEs was 38 lakh crores. Just see the amount or mammoth revenue generation by PSUs. And in that year, there was a financial investment of 25 lakh crore. So this is the magnitude these PSUs are having, and 15 lakh employment. So these figures speak that how they have contributed to the Indian economy. Now we are coming to 2047. India aspires to be the advanced nation, Vikshit Desh, and aspires to be $27 trillion economy, which is the present size of USA economy. So this is a challenging task. It is not an easy task unless you achieve 8 to 10% GDP growth every year. It would not be possible, and mind that this base would keep on increasing. Today we have a base of $4 trillion economy, and then once this base increases, attaining the growth of 8 to 10% is not an easy task. But I would say it is not impossible also. So public sector in the coming years, now the platform has been set, and the public sector can, what the government by this process of disinvestment, they are unlocking their values. If you see that there are now 63 PSUs which are listed, and government has unlocked the value. And this can also be seen that if you see the performance of PSU index, it has outperformed census index in the last 3 years. So the government gradually wants some strategic sale or minor stake sale to unlock the values. And I understand that DPAM, who is behind it, there are 170 unlisted PSUs which they are drawing up the plan to unlock the value in times to come gradually. So the public sector will give a impetus to the infrastructure building in times to come. Secondly, they will be very much important role in energy transition, sustainability, and thirdly in digitization, and they will give the base to the country with the private sector to become this India as an advanced nation. So both private and public sector will go hand in hand. Obviously, the weak PSUs, loss-making PSUs, they will perish, because now it is the time survival of the fittest. So with the economies of scale, building the infrastructure, digitization, I'm quite hopeful that public sector will continue to play an important role in building India as a developed nation by 2047, and this they have, showed or demonstrated in the past also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jain Saab, for this. I think 2 things that you said. Number 1 was PSUs will be a building blocks for our 2047 journey, and they will go hand in hand with the private sector and probably even become the lead indicators, whether it is outperforming the Sensex or looking at all the digital initiatives that we spoke about, right? I would request, I'll start in this order now. Sir, request 1 minute each. What would be one thing that you would want PSUs to do differently to enable this growth also, right? We understand there is a method. You spoke about privatization. Somebody else spoke about, being out there more in the market. Somebody spoke about digital initiatives. But one thing that you could wish for, which would actually, if not done, that could hamper PSUs to be a growth catalyst. So, starting from.
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to say that in PSUs, frankly speaking, decision making is slow.
Okay. So
that has to be made faster. And though I would say that the steps have been taken by the government by creating Maharatnas, Navaratnas, Mini Ratnas, and giving them the autonomy to take decision. But at the same time, we will have to devise some mechanism where decisions are taken fast, so execution becomes fast, there is no cost overrun, there is no time overrun, and at the same time, I find that some fear of accountability or some fear of 3 Cs, CVC, CAG, and CBI. So that should be, mitigated, and full autonomy and decisions taken with the good intent should be given due weightage, so decision making becomes fast and the projects are timely executed. So that I would only say for one point,
sure.
Which
faster
he wanted.
decision making.
So adding on to what our friend Mr. Jain has said, apart from what ministerial controls are there over PSUs, they need to be taken a more lighter way, plus 3Cs. There has to be a top to bottom approach as well. The top management need to give a sense of basically faster decision making to their employees.
Sure.
They should develop a growth mindset, develop innovations, foster basically more cross-sectoral collaborations, incentivize the employees so that they take better decisions by way of promotions or other types of incentives. So these are other things which are required in addition to what
Perfect.
common controls are there.
Cross-sector collaboration.
Cross-sector collaboration are very
Perfect.
important in this.
Yep. Next, sir.
Yeah, and research and development, because research and development, spending in research and development is more important because that increases the operational efficiencies.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think apart from what my predecessors have just spoken, I believe that what we have seen, apart from creating innovation hubs and center of excellence, and for an agility factor to come to a quicker decisions, I think what we have seen is breaking down the larger projects to smaller projects manageable, creating MVP, seeing the results and expansion, especially in terms of digital. When we talk, we have seen larger companies like us move quickly when we are able to prove what we are trying to do in a smaller MVPs and then move ahead. Then the largest factor which we have found is the change management and skill development in our workforce.
Sure.
As we move in a more digital era and more different, we need to have a right talent and reskill our manpower and make them part of the change. Whatever we do today, unless this the fourth pillar or the fifth pillar in our organization, I change them along with that, all these things will go for a fut if they are not implemented and not taken forward. Yeah.
Change management. Thank you, sir.
I should emphasize that quality of service. I think it is the core thing which we all should emphasize in our service delivery. Right product or right service at right cost at right time. This, I think, if we could do. Recently, I have been to Europe. In Switzerland, I couldn't find even a second's delay in transport, public transport, whether it was boat, road or bus. 9:20 means 9:19:59 seconds.
Where was this?
Switzerland.
Okay.
So I think if we can, we have to think of that that much trillion economy. I think we should adopt the good practices by such
Right.
countries.
I think digitization will be required for public sector for improve the processes, efficiency. And with the digitization of process, we are facing challenges of cybersecurity. So how to adopt that and be secure also, that will be a major challenge for all the public sectors. And we have to work on that and how we can have our skill set in the company itself, so how we can protect ourselves and also adapting what is available based outside. So I think that would be the major challenge for our public
Very
sectors.
important.
Thank you.
Given that if it can happen to a pagers, right, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2 days ago, it can happen to TVs, it can,
Yes.
then all consumer electronics are walkie-talkies. I've not heard today's solar system news, but all consumer electronics, are open. So data center object is still larger organization. Imagine if you have got AirPods and somebody installs something in them. And a enterprise-wide ramification or a country-wide ramification.
100-gram device can kill a person. Assume that 1 ton storage can carry how much?
Yeah.
So while adopting these technologies, particularly the digital and all, we have to see that how we can adopt that zero trust technologies. So that everything is tracked and everything we know what is happening, what can be go wrong, everything. So that will be a major challenge, and we have to see that. Thank you.
In God we trust, rest we audit. Yes, sir.
सर, इन माय व्यू एक्चुअल में जो अभी मेरे साथियों ने कहा इनोवेशन, डिजिटलाइजेशन, ये बिल्कुल सही बात है, ये हमें टेक्निकली चाहिए, लेकिन मैं एक फंडामेंटल चीज कहना चाहूंगा, जब तक लोगों के पेट में खाना नहीं होगा इस देश का विकास नहीं होगा। इसलिए मेरा सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट फोकस है कि हमारी जो जितने प्रोग्राम्स हैं, हमारे PSUs के सारे प्रोग्राम्स जो पहले टाइम से ही चले आ रहे थे, यानी कि हमें आत्मनिर्भर बनना पड़ेगा, हमें हर इंडिविजुअल को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना होगा, तभी ये संभव है। इंडिविजुअल्स के उसे हमें एम्पावर करना पड़ेगा, पूरी जो हमारी जो कंट्री की प्रॉब्लम है इसको सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा, और ये प्रॉब्लम PSU के द्वारा ही सॉल्व हो सकती है। प्राइवेट सेक्टर इसको सॉल्व नहीं कर सकता। प्राइवेट सेक्टर बहुत बड़ी बड़ी चीजें कर सकता है। देखिए, हम क्या हैं, किसी से भी कोलैबोरेट कर सकते हैं। BEL आज उसने इजराइल के साथ में कोलैबोरेशन करके अच्छे से अच्छा रडार सिस्टम बना लिया, वो हम कर सकते हैं। प्राइवेट सेक्टर उसमें हमारी हेल्प करेगा, लेकिन अगर घर के बाहर गंदगी पड़ी हुई है उसे साफ कौन करेगा? दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम। उसे प्राइवेट सेक्टर साफ करने नहीं जाएगा, उसे भारत सरकार को ही उसे PSU के द्वारा ही सफाई करनी पड़ेगी। स्वच्छता पखवाड़ा चलाया जा रहा है ना, तो दिस इज द रीजन कि हमें हकीकत को पहचानना पड़ेगा। हमारी कंट्री की सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है पॉपुलेशन। इस पॉपुलेशन को जब तक कि हम उसको इंपावर नहीं करेंगे बाय एजुकेशन, बाय हमें पूरा मेक इन इंडिया एक हब बना देना होगा। जो गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसीज इस टाइम चल रही हैं, दीज आर वेरी रियली, ये अमृतकाल है। अगर इसका हमने फायदा नहीं लिया तो ये कंट्री 2407 में कहीं ना कहीं हम मिस कर जाएंगे, और अगर हमने ले लिया तो 100% हमें कंट्री में डेवलप्ड नेशन बनने से कोई नहीं रोक सकता, क्योंकि मेक इन इंडिया, आत्मनिर्भर, आयुष्मान, आपको हेल्थ चाहिए आयुष्मान, आपको खाना चाहिए अन्न योजना, आपको, तो इनसे अब हमें थोड़ा सा ऐसा करना होगा कि जिससे इंडिविजुअल, हर इंसान एक आत्मनिर्भर बन जाए। दैट इज द माय व्यू ऑफ ऑन दिस स्टेज।
Sir, very different views, but thanks for bringing that, because I think you're going to the grassroots level, right? Going to the, वो जिसको कहते हैं ना, जड़ पे जाके आप बोल रहे हो कि अगर वहाँ से ही हम सॉल्व करना स्टार्ट करेंगे, then only. And I totally agree on your point. I personally believe हम एक रनवे पे खड़े हैं, अब वो रनवे पे अगर हमें राइट इम्पेटस मिलेगा तो हम बहुत अच्छा टेक ऑफ करेंगे, बट देयर कैन बी चांस अगर हमें वो इम्पेटस नहीं मिला या हमने उसका फायदा नहीं उठाया तो वी विल नॉट टेक ऑफ, एंड इट विल बी अ missed opportunity. I think please give a huge round of applause for all my panelists. They've just been absolutely super. Any questions? Do we have time for one question, two questions?
Any questions on the floor? Yes, sir, I think I will get it. Yes.
Anybody?
Yes.
Yes, my question is that although we are seeing that, a lot of market capitalization of PSUs is rising, but the infrastructure on the ground is not doing very well. For example, cold storages, road conditions, when, food is getting a lot more, rotten, even though, the food production is very high, So how can PSUs make that productive? How can we leverage technology so that, these type of bottlenecks, because this is where the PSUs have not been able to be successful, as far as, improving the infrastructure, so that in the education sector, in the social sector, and that's why there are a lot of issues with that. Because, still we are a lot more dependent on, for example, on foreign technologies, and trade deficit as such is also rising, on a year-to-year basis, because of that. So, how can we make it, a lot more, productive and organized? Thanks.
आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है, इसीलिए गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने आजकल ESG प्रोग्राम लिया हुआ है। ESG, इन्वायरमेंट, सोशल एंड गवर्नेंस। आप देखिए PSUs की मैं आपको कुछ एग्जांपल्स बताता हूं। NTPC, ONGC, इवन IOCL, ये सारे IOCL, आप देखिए 10,000 EV स्टेशंस अभी कंट्री में लगा रहा है, सेटअप कर रहा है। ONGC टोटल एनर्जी के साथ में उसने इंटरनेशनल कोलैबोरेशन किया और रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, रिन्यू पावर के साथ में उसने कोलैबोरेशन किया। कोलैबोरेशन करके जो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जीज का जो सेटअप है पूरा कंट्री में डेवलप कर रहा है। तो ये जो स्टेप्स हैं, गवर्नेंस, NTPC गवर्नेंस इश्यूज पर सारी जो कॉम्प्लायंसेज हैं, इस पे उन्होंने एक अपना डिपार्टमेंट सेटअप किया हुआ है। तो अब इस पर फोकस बढ़ा है। इसमें ये बात सही है, कहीं ना कहीं हम पीछे रह गए, कुछ सालों तक हमने इस पर वर्क नहीं किया, लेकिन आजकल ESG पर बहुत ही हर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इवन REC, फुल फ्लेज सारे व्हीकल्स आप इन्वायरमेंट फ्रेंडली कर दिए, इलेक्ट्रिकल EV व्हीकल्स पे आ गए। तो इस तरीके के पूरे PSU सेक्टर में एक वेव बन रही है, और ये वेव मैं समझता हूँ 2-3 साल के अंदर में आप देखेंगे, ड्रास्टिक चेंज देखेंगे। दैट इज माय आंसर।
Any more questions on the floor? Yes, sir.
Thank you. This is Dr. Daniel, Senior Advisor, UN Cell of USI, India's oldest defense policy institute. Two questions. One, unlike US, though half a decade of tenuity of presidency, most of the president held the office for 2 times. And similarly, China for planning for 10 years. And PSUs, every planning is for half a decade. Our planning module is maximum of 5 years. And there is no assurity of repeated government. Thank God for the past 10 plus years, now we are in the same government. So the continuity of the policies taken are not consistent, or are we consistent compared to US and China to maintain the run rate? This is question 1. Question number 2, with regards to ESG, from 1960 onwards, it's been after the Vietnam War, the scorched earth policy, and then the environment policy started, and then it gone within taken the new shape of Agenda 21, 1990, then Rio 5, Rio 10, Rio 15, Rio 20, then MDG, then SDG. Now we don't know what is going to happen at the end of 2030. Now, Niti Aayog, now we are working within a UNDP and preparing the chart based on SDG 2030. Now, out of 43,000 colleges functioning under 1,027 universities, none of the universities' program syllabus, from either from the banking or in the humanities, nor in the STI, do have the relevance of ESG. Either studying from the historical, strategic, and also what we are going to plan for 2030 to 2045. Most of the things, either we are cribbing in the following adherence to the setting, or whoever set the policy, the global banking syndicate, they have done, we are here in this $4 trillion economy, planning to become on a 20 plus. Adherence policy is there. When we are going to write the preparation for policy for 2030 to 2045, and are we already, do we have a 230 million student community, tentatively to 20 million population are there in higher education. Where is the syllabus preparation? Because these guys are going to get out from 25 to 27, and they'll be there in the industry for next 25 to 30 years, 2047 to 2057. And if we don't prepare these guys in the education institution, and how they are going to contribution will be there. These are my quick question. Thank you, sir.
So let me take your second question first. So you have expressed your concern that this is not percolating to the educational institutes, the ESG part, though we are talking a lot about ESG. So let me first tell you that it is an evolving stage. Even the corporates, they are, now the focus is to create awareness, because this SDG in India, there are various frameworks for this ESG, SEB, and then this GRI, but in India, the SEBI has framed this BRSR and BRSR core. So that they have made mandatory for now for top 1,000 companies, and in times to come, they are going to cover all listed companies. So it is coming from corporates. And as far as, let me just give you some figures also that particularly in oil and gas sector, the companies, they have made their net zero plans like GAIL 2035, ONGC 2038, BPCL 2040, and this IOCL 2046. So the agenda for India is 2070 to achieve net zero emissions. So these corporates now are working on this, apart from this other NTPC and other where the carbon emissions are more. So gradually what I feel that it would come into the syllabus also, considering the importance it is gaining. So from national level it is coming to corporates, then from corporates when the demand would be there, it would automatically come into our syllabus of educational institutions. So that is the point. And the first question was, somebody would like to take it?
Actually, I think first question, both of the questions are very relevant. First one is, I think, not relevant with this gathering, because planning for the shorter period or the longer period is not coinciding with the industry goal as a whole for the global scene. We should accept that whatever is the situation as on date is because of countries like US and UK who build India as production zone without considering the environment. Those countries made us like that. हमारे पास तो जरूरत थी हमें पैसे की, हमें तो कुछ भी काम करना था, आप लोगों ने हमसे ऐसा काम कराया और अब आप लोग पूछ रहे हो हमसे कि ऐसा क्यों किया तुमने. तो दिस इज द सिचुएशन एंड नेचुरली प्लानिंग बड़ी हो रही है और ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ 5 साल के लिए हो रही है. यदि आप देखिए 2006 में नरेगा शुरू हुआ, आज भी चल रहा है, कोई चेंज नहीं, मतलब उसमें फंक्शनल चेंज हुए हैं लेकिन सबको यह है कि एम्प्लॉयमेंट देना है. हाउसिंग स्कीम, इंदिरा आवास योजना शुरू हुई, आज भी हाउसिंग स्कीम चल रही है. चीज़ है, ठीक है, हम अपनी गलतियों से सीखते हैं और गवर्नमेंट इस बात के लिए ओपन है और आज की तारीख में बहुत ओपन है. यदि आप कोई सजेशन लाते हैं तो उनके हिसाब से पॉलिसीज चेंज होती हैं. थैंक यू.